I'm Donnie Vie. I was the lead singer, songwriter for the band Enough's Enough for
in the morning, still sitting and pouring the drinks till they're gone. We did everything together, would have done it forever. How did we go wrong? I know that what goes up comes down. I didn't know you hit the ground. Why'd you have to give it up? Well, you were just a little girl. I'll never look into your blue eyes.
for 25 years, 13 or 14 records. Since then, I've done my own solo stuff for 4 or 5 maybe records, and some various odd things, and still going strong at 56 years old. But there's been a lot of crazy stories and a lot of good times and not so good times throughout my career and throughout my life. And I do a bunch of interviews, but I figured maybe we could do it with some Q&A like this, is where you, the fans, are doing the interview. So I've got a bunch of questions that have been sent in, and I'm going to try to address as many of them as I can in a limited amount of time, and we'll see how it goes. First question is, how did you learn to play guitar and piano? Did you have any formal lessons? No, I never had any lessons. I think I had about 3 or 4 piano lessons. I used to bang around on the piano and self-taught at everything. I would play since I was little, just diddling around on it, and started to piece together, some chords and stuff like that. The piano lessons that I took were just god-awful. It was some old lady with bad breath, and what she was teaching me I had no interest in knowing, and thank goodness she died after like my 3rd lesson, so I didn't have to go back to that. As far as guitar, no, I never had any lessons at that either. I'm not a great guitar player, but I get the job done, and I just kind of learned to play out of necessity. Actually, I learned to play the guitar. I had one around. I was kind of a poser for a while, but I met these guys that were putting a band together, and I needed a guitar player, and I really wanted to get into a band really bad, probably 13 years old or so. And so I told them I was a guitar player, and so they had rehearsal was the next day. So basically, I went home, strung up a guitar with this. I had this Ernie Ball Big Note songbook, strung up the guitar, and learned to tune it, and learned to play 2 songs, Rocky Raccoon and Twist and Shout, by the following day rehearsal in the evening. And it is kind of pretty. At the time, I didn't think it was such an amazing feat, but it if you think about it, didn't know how to play at all up until that day, and by the next day, I still sucked, but I had a couple songs down and I was up and rolling, and then it just went from there. So yeah, I'm still learning. So, growing up in the era of album-oriented rock, I still think in terms of albums rather than singles. Even if there are hit singles on an album, to me, Dissonance is Eazy's best overall album in that sense. It flows from start to finish so smoothly. What do you think? I agree with you that Dissonance was the best Enough's Enough record. Being the key songwriter and the singer, as starting from the first record, actually the one before that, 1985, was like our first actual record we made. The songwriting, I've continued to, or at least I believe I have, continued to evolve and to improve each record, and each time I finish a record, I think it's great, but I look back and I think, shit, I could have done this different, I could have done that different. So each record, I believe, gets better and better, and Dissonance was the last one I did with Enough's Enough, and it was a kind of a different process making Dissonance. It was just, we started out to make a record. I hadn't been in the band for 5 or 6 years, took a break, and there was some VH1 show or special or something that they wanted us to be in it, so I had to come back for that, and then it was suggested, hey, let's make a new record. So there's a lot of issues hadn't been resolved yet, but I agreed, and we went in to start to make it, and just nothing was flowing, nothing was working right. I was a little bit fucked up, and but just the whole situation was fucked up. I didn't have any control of anything, and I didn't like the way things were going. I didn't like the way lack of respect, and just well, in any case, to make a long story short, that whole session became a flop, a wash, and everybody went back home and just like, well, I guess that ain't gonna happen. But there were, I don't remember, 6 or 7 songs that we did try to record, but that I think that they came out horrible. And but I had heard through the grapevine that someone was planning to release that and call that Lost in Vegas. So we made it out in Vegas, and just like I said, I hadn't been in the band for 5 or 6 years. So when I had heard that was going to happen, and I knew that if I hear it's going to happen, they're probably going to do it, I was like, absolutely, this cannot be the first thing that comes back out with me involved after that much time, and people were thinking, well, this is all he's got now, and it didn't go about the record the right way, and there was no real process or anything. So I went back home. Everybody went back home, and I was just splitting up with my wife at the time. Met a new girl, and just something happened, and I just got inspired, and I went on a kick of writing songs, like a little roll. That's usually how it happens with me. I'll go on a roll, and then I'll have nothing for a while. So one after another, within a week or two, I'd written Lazy Daisy, Joni Lynn, Playground, what else was there? Altered States, what else was there? I had Roll Away from earlier. I released it as a demo. I never released it on a record till then. I always liked Roll Away. Not really happy about the version that ended up on the record, but yeah, it was kind of so I came out back to Vegas with just Vinny Castaldo and me, who is he's the guy who played drums on it, engineered it, co-produced it, and just the two of us started making this record. And we set up, and I was playing the guitar and he's playing the drums, and just kind of jamming out a little bit, and the dissonance riff came to me, and I started playing that, and we started to see there was something cool about this song, and I was really digging it, and I was enjoying playing the guitar parts for it, and so within a day or so, Dissonance got written, and now mind you, there's just the two of us there, and all those other songs that I just mentioned. I do believe we had a song called High, and what else was there? Chicago were from the previous sessions. High was good. I loved High. That was the only one that was any good. Then there was just some bullshit, a Prince song, some crap. So basically, I made that record like a solo record. It was actually made like a solo record. It was just me and the drummer, and then certain people caught wind of it and got interested, and then came out to Vegas and played his parts. Chip came out and replayed the bass, and so then there was a couple other things added to that record. One or two things that I had never even dreamed were going on there. Well, one of them I had never even heard before until I got a copy of the record. It was a song that Chip wrote and sang. I had never heard it before until I got a copy of the record, which I always thought was pretty shitty. I didn't like that at all. That was, I dealt with a lot of that shit in Enough's Enough, where it's always after the fact and there's nothing I can do about anything, and that was one of them. And along with that Prince song going on there, and also a song called Chicago, we'd written that for Chip to sing the verses, and I wrote all the words for it, and the verses were pretty cool, and then I was going to come in and sing the chorus. Living here in Chicago, which was going to be great, and but while I was away, he had finished that song without me, and when I came back and heard it, they're like, "This one's done." I'm like, "That's not done." I said, "I haven't even sang on it yet," and so I insisted that we did the tracks. And I sang like the background harmonies and the chorus, the lead vocal line in the chorus and the background harmonies, and it was huge. It sounded great. It was amazing. Somehow during the making of the finishing of that record and the mix time, that version disappeared. I don't know how that happened, and I still wonder. But all there was that original version that Chip had sang everything on when I wasn't there. So there was that, and I forget the name of the other song he put on there, but all the rest of it was a solo record that turned out to be an Enough's Enough record. And yeah, I believe it was really great. There was a lot of contributing factors to that I really had the freedom to do what I needed to do, to complete the vision, and there was no stress and there was no issues and animosity or anything going on. It was just the drummer and me. And then when Chip came out to replay the stuff, his bass parts and everything, we started to bond a little bit more again, and you do have a bonding when there's a great record that's made, and so, like the record previous to it, which was 5 or 6 years earlier, and that was Welcome to Blue Island, which I thought would have been a great record. A lot of shit happened to that record, mixing and all this and that stuff. Previous to that, we got Paraphernalia and 10, and going back, there's 7, and there's Tweaked, and I just think from the very first record, 85, then the debut record, much better. Then Strength, much better. Then Animals, just better, all the way up until Dissonance. That was the last. I consider that the last Enough's Enough record that came out, and not to knock what's going on now, but that's not Enough's Enough. So that's the answer to that. Obviously, you are a huge Beatles fan, but who were you a fan of during the hair days of metal? What is influence behind Smokin' Hot Lollipop? Such a cool song. Of course, I was a huge Beatles fan. I loved classic rock, Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, the Stones, the Beatles, classic AC/DC, the killer shit, Rush. As far as the hair metal stuff, I don't really know a lot of the names of those bands, or didn't listen to most of those bands. I know I loved Van Halen, if you consider that one, and I thought they were amazing. I was totally blown away by Van Halen. Def Leppard, I don't know if they were considered a hair metal band, but they were great. Let's see, Tesla was really good. Poison, I never had a whole lot of respect for them as far as musicians wise, but as far as songwriting went, and like their characters and for the amount of talent that they actually had, what they did with it, I thought was amazing, and kind of right time in the right place. But then Warrant, I wasn't the biggest fan of Warrant in the very beginning, but till I met Janie and spent some time with him and listened to some of his other records and stuff like that, and got to be quite fond of Janie. And I don't remember many of the other bands from that era, but yeah, those were the ones that stood out to me. Smokin' Hot Lollipop. That was just a song that I'd written right around the time of doing that Dissonance record. I was staying out in Vegas, and like I said, I had a new chick, and I just came up with the idea for it. And I always thought it was pretty cheesy. The guy I was staying with, he produced or paid to have this. He wanted that song tracked. He really liked it, and I wasn't a huge fan of it. I just thought it was kind of cheesy, and but we did it. I did it, and we got Vince Loria played on it too, and it came out. It is what it is. We shot a video for it, but like I said, this whole time it wasn't something I was focusing on, and wasn't my heart wasn't in that song. But I later made Wrapped Around My Middle Finger record that wasn't too long after the Dissonance record. That was a solo record, and just looking for stuff to I had that one and a song called Daddy's Girl that I did at the same time that I figured, well, might as well put them on the record too. So I think Wrapped Around My Middle Finger was a great record, but we added those two. It just added a couple other elements, and that was fun.
She likes her diamonds in pearl.
What did you think of the Wild Hearts cover of Time to Let You Go? I had never heard of the Wild Hearts, nor did I was aware that anybody was covering anything. Somebody pointed that out to me, a fan, a few years later, and sent me the version. I heard it. I instantly fell in love with it. It was like grungy and dirty and heavy, and by then I was pretty sick of my version of it, and I dug it. I thought it was cool, and since become friends with Ginger, and I was very honored, and I love when somebody covers something and does their own thing to it, as opposed to just a cover, version of something I've written. I like to hear what another perspective on the songs, and they definitely did that. As a matter of fact, Enough's Enough, we started doing their version live for a while, and it's still one of my favorite versions. What's your favorite mic for recording and live? Well, for recording, depends if what studio I'm at. Obviously, the Neumann U67 or U47, U87s, those are the industry standard quality mics. So I've used those. The first record I used a C12, then the 47 for the Strength record. After that, I think it was a U87 for the Animals record. Cross between back and forth with that. Then I don't even remember what was using. I don't think necessarily it's always the brand of the mic. I think it's more of what you blow into the mic. I've made some really shitty fucking stuff sound pretty good. I think it's just some things sound better than others. I can't tell the difference usually, but I guess when you go to mix it and stuff, live mic, it's just same old, just Shure 58 or 57, whatever that's usually up there. I think I had an EV wireless one for a couple of years, but I didn't really give a fuck about that. And I don't like wireless. I like having a cord plugged into something. I trust that. So right here, this is it's called the JZ V67, and it's really great. My buddy Vinny turned me on to this company and got me a good deal on it. It's modeled after the U67, Neumann U67 tube microphone, but this one's condenser, but it's modeled after that, and it sounds very similar and very close. And I got a real reasonable price, so if you want one of these, you can get a hold of me, and maybe I can get you the deal on it. That's what I got here. I've had some shitty things, so that's what I'm using now. Good Cheap Trick story. Oh shit, I got a few of those. Let me see. Probably the story where I met Cheap Trick. I was partying in my apartment. A couple of buddies of mine, or my girlfriend and me, and I think somebody else was over there. We were just partying, getting high, doing blow and shit like that in my apartment. I went to go walk to 7-Eleven and get some beer, and I was walking, down the street and then through the alley over to 7-Eleven, and I seen what looked like Robin Zander taking a piss in my alley, and I'm looking at him like, shit, it looks like Robin Zander. And then he looks up and he goes, Donnie? And I'm like, yeah? He goes, Robin. I was like, holy fuck, I thought it looked like Robin Zander. So that's how I met Robin, and it was a friend of ours. Her name was Renee. She kind of sold blow and stuff like that too, but I guess she went to their show and ended up bringing them back to my apartment. And Rick and Tom, Bunny wasn't there, but Rick and Tom and Robin just sitting in my little apartment doing a bunch of blow. And I think Tom sat on the phone with Chip the whole entire time, but that was pretty cool. I've sang on a couple of their songs in the studio. They would always call me up for Surrender whenever I'd be there. And that was really cool. So I got a lot of Cheap Trick stories. They were actually looking at me for when Robin was doing his solo record. They were sort of putting it out there, would I want to take over his job in Cheap Trick, which you can't do that. You know, it's just like nobody could take over my job. You just can't take over the guy, you know, the main guy. And but that's my Cheap Trick stories. I've got a lot of them. What's your favorite album that you've played on? That I've played on? Well, I don't really play on anybody's records if it's not my record. I have on a couple occasions, but my favorite record that I played on was probably Beautiful Things. I think it's the best record I've made. It was well crafted, and it's not heavy guitar, so I might have had a little bit more fun on some of the earlier records like Dissonance. I had a lot of fun playing all the guitar on that. I think I did a really good job on that. Jakey Lee came in after the fact, after I'd played everything, and overdubbed and did some reinforced a lot of my parts with better tones and a little bit of technique. But that's basically what you're hearing is me, and I had a lot of fun playing that record. You know, there's something to be said about you know, taking your Les Paul and cranking up the gain on your Marshall and or whatever I was using it during that time, and you know, it's fun to rock it out, but it's a whole different animal doing like Beautiful Things, stuff like that. You know, it's more intricate in parts and cleaner tones. So there's no they're unforgiving cleaner tones, and but yeah, that's my favorite record that I played on. Paul Gilbert tell you ahead of time that he was putting your name in his song "Girls Who Can Read Your Mind"? No, I hadn't seen Paul in quite a while. I think I went out there. There was a hit put on me by the Japanese mafia. I won't go into why that happened, but I had to go into hiding. And one place I went first, I went out to the Nelson guy's house, and did a little bit of writing with them there, and then I went to Paul Gilbert. He invited me out to stay at his pad and, you know, to record, or, you know, just to spend some time. Paul and I knew each other from our very first Nuff's Enough. His very first national tour was with Mr. Big, and so we became friends, had a lot of respect for each other. I know there was some issues that his wife at the time was working for Fernandez Guitars, and I got an endorsement through them. And, you know, he did the Naked guitar, you know, cover and all this and that, and she just really took care of me on guitars and stuff like that. She was really cute, and, you know, I don't know, I think I started to have a crush on her, but I knew I couldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I just had a crush on her. She was really pretty and kind of a slickster. So later on, it made a little more sense then when I'd heard the song. He asked for a song, I do believe, one or two of our old early demos that we never did. One was called Girl Crazy, and there was some other one, I don't remember. But no, I hadn't heard that song, Girls Can Read Your Mind, until probably a couple of years after he had did it.
I know she's probably hanging out with Donnie Vie, and they're doing more than kissing.
So I guess he did pick up on that vibe. I'm sorry, Paul. Love you, man. You're a dear friend. And I would never have done that. How do you feel about Enough's Enough being in that underrated category like Y&T, but having such strong fans? Yes, I will say that we've got the best fans. There's not a zillion of them, but the ones that we do have are especially for me personally, they've been there and really let me know how much they appreciate and what the songs have done for them. And as far as underrated, yeah, we're very underrated. Only in the sense that lack of exposure and people didn't hear us. Because if you heard us, if you knew who we weren't underrated at all. Everyone, loved the band. To hear it,
we need some things to get us up, and then some things to bring us down. Oh, that's the one thing about love. You'll always be around. I'll be right by your side when the gray turns to blue. I'll be right by your side for the rest of my life.
what's not to love, But yeah, Y&T, I'm still not familiar with any of their material. Strength is one of my favorite rock albums ever. Were the songs written about life experiences and inspirations? Yeah, Strength, I was just going through a breakup with this piece of shit of a whore of a girlfriend. She was just a fucking loser. She's a total idiot. But I didn't spend a lot of time at home in those days, so it was just somebody to look after my shit, a warm body when I'd be at home. But something happened. I threw her out, and then she went and started staying with this drug dealer, and I think it was a control freak issue that I had, and so I was losing my mind. It was driving me crazy. So like a lot of the demos and the earlier stuff for Strength was written about that situation. It was pretty heavy and pretty difficult for me, where when a chick just flips the switch and there's nothing you can do or say. That's a pretty hairy feeling, and it reflected in the songs, and like all my songs, basically, you can tell that the lyrics are heartfelt, and it's always inspiration. There's some reason for most of the songs. The inspiration for Guilt and Shame, where did that bit of genius come from? I still think that is genius. I think it's hilarious shit. Very inappropriate, and I just started connecting with my little nephew Louis, basically getting to know him. I hadn't been around for most of the years that he was alive. I was off in LA or Texas or various places here and there, and I ended up getting arrested and thrown in jail in 2015 or so, around then, and so through that program, I was more grounded and back in Chicago area. Well, I was actually in Michigan, and I was, connecting with Louis, and and he had this little thing, and he wanted just like would have his little toys and stuff like that. So I started messing around with that with him, and I had a song called "Hay is for Horses," and so he learned that, and we played it together, and his father videotaped it, and it was really cute, and he was singing it with me, and things just started to parlay after that. Next came. I think while I was picking cotton, she got laid. I just started getting pretty crazy and writing these songs. I hadn't written or sang or, played a guitar on any songs for years at the point. And this was like the first stuff I was, starting to write again, and it was fun. It was a lot of funny stuff. The funniest part about it all is that there's a 7 or 8-year-old boy singing these songs like Hepatitis C, Butterface Love, Bobbing for Apples in the Hair Pie. She took the Greyhound bus to heaven. There's some really cool shit there. I love it. It's a very inappropriate parody on hillbilly stuff and chauvinistic, and I just thought it was hilarious. I wish more people would hear it. I think it's great. You been drinking, Lou? You been hitting the moonshine this morning?
I drank last night.
I told you, man, that we'd be drinking before we started.
Last night I played with my friend's juice box drunk.
Oh, man. So you're hungover. You knew we had a performance today. That's just unprofessional. There we go. Ready? You gonna sing loud? Mm-hmm. All right. Could have been the goddamn rusty nail. Could have been the tattoo guy in jail. Maybe it was all that bang China. Maybe it was all that stink vagina. Yeah, I got the hepatitis C. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Went out looking around and got what I deserve. Don't talk your shit to me, 'cause at least I'll go on living. You got the AIDS and a hell of a lot of nerve. One more time. 'Cause I got hepatitis C. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Went out looking around and got what I deserve. So don't talk your shit to me, 'cause at least I'll go on living. But you got the AIDS and a hell of a lot of nerve. But you got the AIDS and a hell of a lot of nerve.
That kicked ass.
Rock out with your clock out. Do you remember the time in Philly when that bunch of young punks gave you guys $100 to let their friends sing For Now? I don't know if I particularly remember that time, but that was a thing that after a while, that was a thing that we started doing. Chip and I were, I'd look at that set list, and it was, it's just like the same set list that they're doing now. I would look at that list and I'd be like, what the fuck, man? We got to do some different shit. I'm so sick of playing these same old songs. And then when we get to the new thing, Flying Michelle and stuff like that, I was like, and so I started doing the deal with just sort of spontaneous things. Like, hey, somebody want to come up and for $100 bill, come on up and sing New Thing or Fly High, or I forget which one it was. And the guy came up on the stage and handed a $100 bill, and that was fine with me. And no, it wasn't a $100 bill; it was 20s. And so there was 4 of us, and you can't. How are you gonna break 20s? So I kept 40. But we did that a lot for a while there. Sometimes that was actually how a little extra play money, and you let them do a couple songs, and so there would be money for blow or weed or whatever. But that's fun. I think I still have done that. I still could probably do that when I start playing live again. I'll still do the $100 song. Thirsty Whale. There's just too much to go into about the Thirsty Whale. It's just that was a really lot of fun. Great fucking shows. It would be, we would do 4 shows in 2 nights when we did the Thirsty Well. It was a weekend, and all ages, and then later on, then at midnight we do the adult show, and the next day would be the same thing. And usually, though, that place had a reputation. There was a lot of extracurricular activities going on there, and so plus we would brown bag the money. Didn't go through the agency or anything, and so we made a big, actually, in a brown bag of money, and I'd end up spending half of my money before I even left the club there, if you know what I mean. And so those were grueling shows. It was usually four in a row, you know, and felt like one day, you know, because Derek and I wouldn't go to sleep, obviously. One time, as a matter of fact, Derek and I did those 4 shows, and the next time we were playing was a month later, exactly a month later, and there was 4 more shows we had to do at the Thirsty Whale. And it turns out, and people still don't believe me, and even nurses and doctors I met don't believe me, but Derek and I were still up. It was a month later, we were still up, going back and forth, heroin and coke and stuff, and I don't even think I nodded out even once. We were superhuman. And so that was 8 shows and up for a month, and all writing songs and fucking around back and forth and stuff. So Thirsty Well, yeah. When you first performed live on television, were you nervous? How did it make you feel? Well, the first time playing on television, depends on what you're talking about. We did like these smaller local shows, you know, from right away we started playing those.
We're going to play something off our new album, Animals of Human Intelligence, and it's called Innocence.
Okay, go for it.
Thanks.
House in the corner where you used to sit and play, cutting paper playmates, having tea at noon each day. All the things you cherish now have faded all away, and you're a big girl now, you say. All the familiar faces that you used to watch them grow now have turned to faces that you really do not know. Now some special boy has come along and brought you joy, who wants to make love to you. There goes your innocence. Who's to say what's right or wrong? 'Cause it's your innocence. And when you keep it up, it's gone. And if your heart and your mind, if you feel it's your time, your innocence is gone.
So they're starting to get pretty comfortable with it. We were always comfortable because we knew how good we were, and so whenever we would do that, and we always came through. We always delivered, and so I wasn't ever really nervous doing those things. More hammy. We were more being hams, or just you look back on them now, and like some of the faces I made and some of those things, like on the Letterman and stuff, I was like, I was like, that's fucking ridiculous, but.
Nice to see you. Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready. Hang on to something. You know, when it comes to rock and roll, back me up on this, Paul. These guys are all you need. Am I right?
The best.
Exactly.
These are the best.
They made their television network debut with us, and they're back tonight with a brand new album. This one's entitled Animals with a Human Intelligence. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Enough is Enough, Kids.
lose it to your game. People that you hung around led you all astray. So don't be superstitious. This is your lucky day. It's a brand new situation. You're the one that's here to stay. See me didn't have the grind to get you through the line. Now you're stuck in overdrive, and all you need is time. Hey, hey, don't be superstitious. This is your lucky day. It's a brand new situation. Yeah. You're the one that's here to stay. All you want are drugs and money. Nothing can bring it up. Everything in this world is funny. You got to bear it up. All the time. Seen you in the underground, lose it to your game. And now I think you stick around, and everyone will know your name. So don't be superstitious. This is your lucky day. It's a brand new situation. Yeah. You don't want to see to stay. I'll be superstition. This is the lucky day. A brand new situation. You want to take to stay.
Enough's enough, ladies and gentlemen.
Not really nervous. Not ever really get stage fright. I did the very first show I ever did, where I ever sang, and that was for a ladies' AIDS thing, and that was before Enough's Enough, and I was nervous as fuck about that one. But no, every time I'd hit the stage with Chip and the guys, we always knew this is going to go well, and so there was never any stage fright or anything. You know, I used to worry about, will I have pipes that night? That was my big hang up, was am I going to be able to sing tonight, you know? And but once I stopped worrying about that, then I never had any problems singing. You know, it's all in your head. And yeah, no stage fright. I have stage fright now. What's your favorite memory of Ricky Parent? Also, what was the inspiration for a song, It's No Good? Well, It's No Good was something I had before Enough's Enough. That and Kiss the Clown were two songs that I had written with and for some other guy. I forget what his name was. But yeah, later on those songs surfaced. I don't know how. I know the Kiss the Clown surfaced on the record, the first record, and I always thought that was kind of a waste of space on that record, but everybody liked it.
Kiss this! Gonna tease my hair, I'm gonna get my new suit on.
No Good. I forget what record that came out on, but I forget how that came to be either. But I know that those were songs that were written before Enough's Enough. I had those.
Up on the roof with the shirt clutched between my fingers, I hold on. Dark and alone on the roof as we lay there breathing slower. It doesn't matter if the world's not turning, we wouldn't have to think of being somewhere else without life, without love, it's no good.
What's your favorite memory of Ricky Parent? Ricky Parent's story. Oh my goodness. It's so many great Ricky Parent stories. One that stands out is I gave him a pair of black velvet bell-bottom pants, and he wore them every single night for I think the whole time I knew him, every fucking show for years, and called it the bat suit. And but he would, after shows, he would start hammering, drinking hard, you know, killing beers until he was just retarded, and he would get retarded, and he had to get laid. He always had to get laid. There was, you know, I've seen him, you know, found him in the bushes, you know, in the mud, covered in mud stuff. Like, what are you doing? You get mud over the bat suit stuff. He'd come out of there, some chick all disheveled, and him, and but there was one time that there was absolutely no action happening. I forget what happened. It was like nobody there, and he started pounding, and when the bus was getting ready to roll, he was still standing outside on the street, you know, looking up and down the street for anything, and he was looking at this like a bag lady, this bum. I'm like, no, don't do it. We took him, threw him on the bus, but no, I got a lot of great stories with Ricky. He and I are the ones that went in and started doing Seven and tweaked a lot of those songs. We just did, the two of us. Is I had, my mindset was I was done with Enough's Enough after the Animals record and that whole experience and how the way things went down and everything. So yeah, so he's, you know, I always loved him. He was a great drummer, and he was, you know, my buddy, and he came in with me and we started writing and tracking a lot of those songs for Seven and Tweaked, Paraphernalia, some of those songs even. Yeah, I miss him. He's a sweet guy, you know. Spent a lot of time with him, and it's sad how he went out, but sweet guy, great drummer. All right, this is the last question I'm going to get to today, and this is fun. I enjoy this, so no, it's not scripted or anything, as you can tell. So maybe we can continue to do this in like a series or whatever. This last question I'll get to today is meeting and interactions with Clive Davis. Well, there's a lot to the whole Clive Davis story, but technically my first meeting was supposed to be my first meeting. We were going to see Arista the next day. We were out the night before in some bar in New York, and started celebrating too early, and I went out with this dude and went out to score crack, and I ended up getting busted and spent the next 24 hours or so in New York's, in Manhattan or whatever, lockup, and it was a pretty scary experience, but the band still met with Clive Davis and had the big presentation and the meeting and stuff, and I was sitting in jail. They told him something about my grandfather was sick or something, but yeah, I heard it was a really spectacular presentation, and I missed it. But yeah, that's it for today, and hope you enjoy these, and we'll get to some more.